Hi, I'm Marilyn, and I want to welcome you today to Exposing Grief. When we expose anything, it becomes less threatening. To expose loss and grief will provide us with some emotional control. In 2020, we laid the foundation for these conversations. Over 12 episodes, we explained how loss and grief can and does occur at any age or any stage in life. You can go back and listen to those foundational podcast episodes, or you can begin listening today as part of your journey to become more emotionally and mentally healthy. If you have been listening in 2021, you know that I have resolved to work on my emotional health, especially where it involves interaction with others. Over a week ago, I had an encounter that blindsided me. Upon self-reflection, I believe that I could have anticipated there would be a problem, but of course, I failed to do any anticipating in advance. I realize it has only been 10 days since the last episode, but a lot can transpire in 10 days, especially when you have to use hindsight to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. The interaction was with someone I had known for nearly 10 years. I felt like we had a pretty solid, mutually respectful relationship. We are part of the same organization, and in fact, I served under this person. We had never had any conflicts of any type. This person decided to step away from the organization. There was no force out or anything like that. Everyone felt and assumed it was for personal reasons and did not pry into the matter further. This associate was away for several weeks. In the interim, I was assuming those organizational duties. I was not aware, and neither were others, that the head of the organization convinced the associate to return. So about a week ago, the associate showed up out of the blue to a meeting. There was no mention by the organization head or the associate that a return was forthcoming. The meeting went forward as planned, without incident. Even though I thought it odd that the associate was there, I didn't give it a second thought. There was no conversation except hello and goodbye. There was nothing to indicate there might be a problem. It so happened that a day before the very next meeting, I get a call from the associate inquiring about how the next day's meeting would go. I thought I was being asked my opinion and stated that the meeting should proceed as outlined, since another associate had already put in the work to make it happen. Well, that answer did not go over well. I was given an earful about how at the prior meeting the associate had not been welcomed back and everyone was rude and dismissive. Of course, I apologized because it is never my intention to slight anyone. I even explained how I was unaware that the associate was back as part of the organization. To say I was dumbfounded by the verbal attack would be an understatement. I was hurt and confused. The next meeting came and went, but the associate did not make an appearance. I tried to reflect on what I could have done differently. Perhaps I should have asked questions instead of assuming that the associate was asking my opinion. As I sorted the incident out in my mind, I now believe that the associate was alerting me that the next meeting would be run differently by the associate and that I and others could step back. Mind you, that was never said or hinted at, but the associate's reaction to my answer seems to indicate a step back was expected. I'm not very good at nuances. I never have been. The associate was completely offended by my opinion to let the meeting run as scheduled. So there was deep hurt all around. There was no doubt there was offense. When someone is offended, it is very difficult to reach them. It's as if they cannot or will not hear you when you apologize or explain how it was never your intent to offend. I realized, and actually already knew, that it is difficult to change someone's perception. All of this occurred before last weekend, so my weekend was a bust. I played the conversation over and over in my head. If only I had asked questions instead of believing that my opinion was being sought. What if I had anticipated that the associate might have embarrassment around returning to the organization so soon after stepping away? Of course, I was totally unaware that the associate was back. No matter how I play the scenario in my head, I unintentionally cause offense. I cannot change another person's Perception, because right or wrong, it is their perception at that moment. I did and said all I knew how to do. I did not take up the offense. I did not become defensive. My apology was sincere. I can not only wait for the extension of the olive branch. I did not discuss what happened with anyone. In my opinion, it was between the associate and me, and we had to work through it. I had no intention of taking an entire episode to express my self-reflection on a truly personal incident. But if it helps even one person, then it's worth it. What ifs can only help, perhaps in reshaping the future, but never the past. I'm pleased to announce that the olive branch was extended, and I accept it. There will be future meetings to hammer out how to move forward. These conversations about loss, grief, and emotional well-being are necessary and perhaps well overdue. Be a part of these important conversations. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to visit with you next time on Exposing Grief.